G'day and welcome to episode 75 of the Guy Who Sews podcast. My name is Sean and this is my weekly podcast where I share my quilting adventures. I'd like to welcome both new and returning viewers to the podcast, but if you are new, I would love it if you take just a few moments to say hi so we all know we have a new friend. Come see what I've been working on, what I've completed, and what's coming up soon, but let's go ahead and get started with our works in progress. I got a lot more achieved this week than I first thought I was going to. There were some nights I came home from work, I just didn't feel like sewing just because I did not have the mental capacity, but when I look back over the week, I got a lot done and I'm super excited. But let's go ahead and see what I've been up to. The first thing I got done was the pinwheel quilt that I talked about last week that I needed to get basted, quilted, all that good stuff for our exchange student Dari, who is going home in the next few days. So let me show you what I did. I quilted around the edge here with a very simple straight line. I just thought that was nice and simple, and so far it looks really nice. And this is my first real attempt at doing free motion quilting with an actual quilt. You may have seen me doing a lot of practice blocks, but it was time to rip off that band-aid and actually just try it on a real quilt. And it's not going to win any awards, but I am so excited with how it's turned out so far. Let me show you what I did between each row. I tried to keep it fairly simple so it can actually get done in the time frame I need it to, and not to overwhelm myself. So I did these like scalloped edges in between each of the 6 rows. I won't show each and every one of them, but that's kind of what I've done in each row. And then around the edges I'm going to do like straight here. And then maybe around the outer edge, I might do some scalloped edges as well. But we'll see. I need to get this quilt done in the next day or two, so that way she has time to pack it before she goes back to Europe. Because I really want to get this thing done before she goes. So that's what I have in my works in progress. But I have some finished objects to show you as well later on in the podcast. But before we do that, let's go ahead to our week in review, which is a series of videos I put together during the week of what I got up to during the week, both sewing and any other adventures we get up to, and there's a lot of fun stuff to show you this week, so I hope you enjoy. So last week I asked if there was a color or colors that you just don't gravitate towards or try to avoid quilting with. And I love seeing all the answers. It seemed like orange, browns, yellow, and black and white and gray were the ones that weren't your favorites. I think orange and brown, that must be among mine too, because I just don't seem to have as many of those in my collection as some of the other colors like purple, green, and so forth. So moving on to this week's question, this was actually submitted by a viewer, and if you ever have a question you'd like me to ask or have a suggestion for a question, I would love to hear it. I'm always looking for more questions to ask. So this week's question is, do you have a go-to marking pen for when you need to mark fabric, like the ones that dissolve over time or heat and that sort of thing there? If you have one that really works well for you, let me know in the comments, because I'd love to hear it, both for myself and that viewer as well. So now it's time to talk about my goals, and I have one major goal, and then whatever else I get done will be just gravy on that. And as I mentioned a little earlier, my main goal is to get this thing quilted, bound, and everything else. This is the pinwheel quilt that we got to send home with Daria this week, and she wanted me to quilt it in, or bind it, sorry, I'll get it right in a minute, this beautiful turquoise color. I think it'll look really, really nice on top of this quilt top. So hopefully in the next day or two, we'll get that all completed. And after that, I would like to get the Mythical Darkson's quilt top made. I have to make one more mini block, and then it's just going to be a matter of piecing it together. So I'm really hoping next week I'll be able to show you the completed quilt top. I make no promises, but if all goes well, that's what I want to get done. So I had one video come out this week, and it was my live yesterday morning with my very special guest, Fallon from So Be a Quilt, and she's been on the channel a couple of times before. I always love having her on. She's a dear friend of mine, and it's always good to catch up with her because we're both super busy. We don't get to catch up as often as we like, and it's a good opportunity for us just to sit there and chat and have a good time. And I actually even got some sewing done. My goal was to get Clue 5 of the Puzzle Mystery Quilt, the Village Green, done in the lavender colorway, and I'm excited to show you that, yes, here it is. And I'm really loving how this is turning out. I love the different prints, the different fabrics, and that sort of thing there as well. So if you missed it, definitely go back and check that out. It was definitely a wonderful event. So upcoming videos, I only plan to have the one video come out this week, which will be my Saturday morning live, and I'm going to have not one but two guests this week. It's going to be Martha from Martha's Creative Life. You've probably seen her on the channel a number of times before. She's one of my wonderful friends who I love having on as often as I physically can. And I'm also going to have Robin Thomas, who is the social media manager for Cotton Cuts, and we thought it'd be fun to come on and sew, a lot of fun, come on and sew one of the gnomes, which is one of the programs they offer. And I'm going to do the boy gnome for May. I thought it'd be a really cool door hanging or wall hanging for when it comes around to graduation time, since we have our exchange students in every year. So definitely don't miss that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And now it is time to talk about Happy Mail, and I love Happy Mail. Most of the mail that comes into my house is bills or advertisements of stuff I just don't want. But once in a while, I get some stuff that I really am looking forward to. And this week, I got two packages in that I was eagerly waiting for. And the first one is the Quilter's Slide Lock by So Be It Quilts, which is Fallon, who I was just talking about a moment ago. And it's a neat ruler where you push down on this just a little bit and it holds the fabric so tight it doesn't let the fabric slip. So even when you're doing yardage, it doesn't slip, and it's been working beautifully. I'll do a full review video on that later on, but I just, yeah, absolutely love it. If you're on the fence about it, definitely consider buying it because you're supporting a small business, first of all, and secondly, it's just a wonderful product. And then secondly, the other project, I spoke about this a little bit ago, is the Gnome project, and it's all here. It's all pre-cut. I love pre-cut. So on Saturday morning when I do my live, all I have to do is open this package, read the instructions, which is right here, and get sewing. It's going to be just like the Puzzle Mystery Quilt, but this time we're going to get to do like a little wall hanging in a gnome. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's what comes in my Happy Mail. Let me know if you got anything in the Happy Mail this week. And now it is time to reveal my completed objects. And I have a couple of blocks to show you, and I'm super excited about this. It's the Mythical Darkson blocks. I've finished just about all of them, and we're getting very, very close to the finish line. So let's take a look and see what I did. I had to make two more merwings. I showed you the sideways merwing, I think last episode and maybe earlier in the piece, and there's two more in this quilt. And this is the first one, which is either the left or the right facing one. I can't remember which one it is now. I'll give you a closer look at him or her. Who knows? And so there's that one, and then its friend is right next to it. It's the same thing, just they go in different directions. So there you go. So we've got those two done, and then we have the sea wing, which you're like, haven't we seen this before? The answer is yes. I did this months ago, but we added the little accent blocks to each. Sorry, I hope you didn't get vertigo right then. To each end. So now we have the full width for the block on this here. So really all we have left to do for this quilt now is I've got to make the little heart mini block, and then I can start piecing the whole in some sashing strips, and then I can actually start piecing this thing together. So I really am looking to get this done the next week or two and show you the completed quilt top, and then I can move on to the Wizard of Oz and some of the other fun projects as well. So I've loved doing this project, but it's, I think it's time to finally hit the finish line, and then we'll have to figure out how to quilt it, won't we? Anyway, so thank you so much for joining me today. That concludes the episode. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, hit the like button. I always love hearing your comments. And tell a friend. We'll see you next time around. Have a great day. Happy sewing, and we'll see you soon.